All right, everybody. So, thank you. This is episode 3 of the Dab Podcast. This is Dushin on behalf of Andy and Bobby. I really just want to thank everyone for who's been listening and giving us your support. It has been amazing, so much more than we could have hoped for. And again, just want to really say thank you. This week, we're doing things a little bit different. We have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I am Jamie. I am Andy's wife and best friend and queen of the house.
There you go. Now, Jamie did say she was a little nervous, which is 100% okay.
Dushin, I gave birth to a baby. I'll be fine.
Glad to hear it. All right. So this week we are tackling the most important questions of our time. So, was that dress gold or blue?
What in the heck are you talking about?
You don't remember that crazy shit
yes,
where
yes.
like, oh my God, is it gold or is it blue?
Like, oh no, I'm crazy because I see this color.
Exactly. No, but no. This week we actually want to talk about maybe not a sensitive subject, but a difficult subject to talk about. And I'll just lead off with basically, we want to talk about asking for help and, by association therapy, right? Does asking for help make you a weak person or a strong person? What do you think?
So I have a lot of experience going to therapy. So I personally think that it's just an amazing thing for anybody to do. I think everybody should go to therapy because this world is just so crazy, the world that we live in today. There's just so much going on in schools, so much on the news that I personally think that it would just make you stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so logically I agree, right? I do feel that it is harder. It's the more difficult path to ask for help, right? Something that you brought up before the podcast was pride. It's which I know is
It's a very manly thing.
I didn't want to put it like that, but yes, like it's and there's famous sayings about it. Pride cometh before the fall, all that kind of crap. Again, logically, I know that it's more difficult to ask for help, and that would make you a stronger person. But there is the tiniest little part of my heart that makes me feel weak, right? There's the tiniest part of my brain that tells me I'm weak if I ask for help, right? And I don't understand why. Why is it so hard to ask for help? Are you exposing something about yourself, like, to you? What makes it so freaking difficult to just say, hey, I can't do this alone. I need some help.
I think that our generation is kind of like the first generation to actually come forward and be more open about mental health. Our parents' generation was very like, go to work, be the man, come home, don't talk about your feelings. You got to take care of the family. You got to be the one that holds up everybody. But I personally think that now we're realizing the effect of that, because the effect of that is depression, anxiety, mental illness, bad, even worse things happening. So I think it's so hard for especially men to come out and say, I need help, is because I think it is their pride. They learn from their old-fashioned fathers to be strong, to be the man of the household, to not have feelings in a way, And I think nowadays we're like, we need to embrace that because it's actually helping. We need more functional relationships. We need fathers there. We need husbands there, And there's problems with women too. But the fact of the matter is men are still more reluctant. I was in a class for anxiety, and there was statistics. Women are more likely to have this certain anxiety over men. But we argued in that class that it's because men are less likely to say, hey, I have a problem, and be studied in the first place. So they're less likely to come forward. So that's why women, you see more anxiety in women. But what if men were more open? How would the numbers look then?
That's a very interesting point. So if I'm understanding correctly, it's that men not asking for help is causing more anxiety in women. Is that kind of like how like the famous bit about guys never ask for directions? Is it kind of like that?
No, I think what I'm trying to say is that I think men might be as equal as women to have depression, anxiety, OCD, whatever it may be.
I get what you're
I think
saying,
it
but
would
we
be
just don't
equal,
talk
but we
about it.
men don't talk about it.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
that's what I've learned. And if you go to any class or any kind of educational class, anxiety through your hospital or anything like that, you'll see majority is women. You'll see like one man. Even I don't even know if I've seen a man in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just something within men that just are like, I'm not gonna come out and talk about this kind of stuff because I'll look weak. And I don't want women to think I'm weak. I don't want my daughter to think I'm weak.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you're showing people around you that it is okay to come forward and talk about those things.
Yeah, and actually you saying that just changed my perspective on something I've been thinking about for a long time, which was the difference in suicide rates between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
You know how women attempt suicide more often,
Mm-hmm.
but men are far more successful.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if now, wow, this is kind of a big thought for me to have right now. Thank you. But is it because women are more okay for asking for that help? You know
Yes.
how they say, you
Yes.
know, some forms of suicide are a cry for help,
Yes.
right? Wow, that would be incredible to actually do some research on, because can you imagine how many more men would still be here if even in that tragic act of trying,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they just didn't take it quite as far,
Right.
how many soldiers and vets and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff would still be here?
Exactly. And I think that women are more likely to ask for help. So women are more likely to go to therapy. They're more likely to talk to their women friends, especially like mothers, or they reach out to mothers groups. I don't know many men or fathers that would be like, I need to reach out to my father's group on Facebook. I haven't seen that. I don't know if maybe there is, but I have a mother's group on Facebook, and it's nice to have that support system. But men don't have that as much because they're not as willing.
Well, as far as I know, your husband's best form of support is the asshole that you see sitting in front of you. So.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say me.
No. Okay. All right. So there's different ways of asking for help, right? I think we just talked about that. So what do you think of like advice, right? I see a lot of people, asking for advice, even guys, right? But there is one thing that I notice, right? Is when men ask for advice, at least from me, my male friends have typically gone along with it more often than not. Where when my female friends ask me for advice, they don't.
What do you mean? Give me an
like
example.
I don't know an example off the top of my head. Like dating, for example. Everyone has dated before, right? A guy says, "Hey, man, this girl is this, that, or the other, right? What should I do?" If I was to be like, "Man, she doesn't sound right for you. You should dump her, and you both, go on with your lives peacefully."
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, they'll be like, "Okay," and the relationship. Women, right? If they ask the same question, they don't. So, and I've always kind of wondered, is it because you're asking not because you actually want help, but you just want like your own thoughts reaffirmed, or is it that you didn't get the help that you were looking for, right? Advice in general as a form of asking for help is kind of weird, right?
But are you trying to say that women are more in detail about their advice that they give you rather than men? Is that what you're saying?
No. What I mean is like women who ask me as a man for advice,
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of maybe think they don't take my advice very seriously.
Oh.
Maybe because I'm a man, maybe because, again, I didn't reaffirm what they just wanted to hear, whatever it is, right? Like, I've never felt like I was particularly useful to women in terms of giving advice, right? Whereas for men, it, more often than not, I do feel fairly useful. Like, do you feel that way? Like, when you ask guys for advice versus
definitely
women?
there's a bond between women, right? Mm-hmm. There's a bond that we have that it's like, oh, she gets me. She's, we have a period together. We like chocolate around the same time of month. God. She gets me. It's not that we don't take, or it's not that I especially don't take Andy's advice for granted. I love getting his advice. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's helpful to ask a sister-in-law, or because I feel like because men don't talk about their feelings so much, they're more cut dry. They're more like, get to the point. Mm-hmm. Women are like, I want to hear all the fuzzy stuff. Right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the fuzzy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So going back to therapy then, why is it still really hard for society to recognize therapy as a useful tool in managing mental health? Why is that? Like, it's why is there still that stigma that comes along with therapy?
I think it's because I think in your core, you're just afraid of saying or thinking someone's going to think you're crazy. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, he's crazy because he's going to therapy. Because if you've seen like movies or from the 90s or whatever, mm-hmm. they'd be like, you're going to therapy, or she's going to therapy, she's a little crazy. But now it's more accepted, but still we still need to make improvement in regards to going to therapy. Like I wish that kids would have more availability in school to some sort of mental health therapist on a regular, weekly, whatever you want to call it, basis. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's still stigmatized because people don't want to look crazy. Even though we always say, you're not going to look crazy, it's still a deep-rooted fear. It's fear of looking a certain way. We see social media and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's everything's perfect, but it's not. We're in real life. But I think that we're moving, especially our generation is moving towards a better mental health kind of world, but it does take time because not everybody is still on board with it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like everybody has a mental illness, like depression or anxiety, even a little bit, and I think learning how to work through it, even if you have just a little bit, is going to benefit your life. But let me ask you this. What would you date a woman, you liked her, she has a great personality, but she's like, hey, I'm dealing with a lot of depression, or I have obsessive compulsive disorder, mm-hmm. but I'm going to therapy, I'm having like these courses or classes I'm taking, and I'm getting better, but I still struggle with it. Would you be still willing to keep dating her, or would you be like, oh, I don't want to deal with that mess?
It would cause me to pause for sure, but I think I would hope, at least, that the progressive part of myself would win, right? And I'd be able to say, hey, she is willing to get the help that she needs. She's trying to better herself. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I give her a shot? Mm-hmm. That's a lot more than a lot of people are willing to do. Mm-hmm. It's so hard, like we said, it's so hard for people to admit when they need help, right? I would like to think that I would be able to do it, mm-hmm. right? But of course, there's going to be that tiny little part of my brain that's screaming, red flag, oh my God, run away.
She's crazy.
Like the little minnows from Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Run away. Yeah, but I would like to think that the goodness in myself would prevail, and I'd be able to say, yeah, of course I'll, keep
But
dating
still,
her.
There's that part of you that says she might be a little cuckoo bananas.
But I don't know how to get rid of that part, right? And here's the thing. It's doing therapy is actually that cure for that, right? Yeah. Like, it's like we have our doctors that we see on the regular. that we see every single year, every 6 months, every 3 months, whatever, right? We have our family doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't therapists, mental health experts included in that group, right? Where hey, we're going in for a checkup. Like why is it
like a mental health evaluation?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just, hey doc, how you doing? I was a little sad this year. My grandma passed away. Hey, I didn't get this promotion that I wanted. It's I feel like if we got to that point where it was, mental health checkup, right? Why don't we have commercials and days and weekends on NFL football, right? Hey, it's mental health checkup day,
Yeah.
right? Go see your therapist.
Or like you need a vaccine, or like when you go to the doctor, you get those reminders. You need a vaccine, or you need this done, and it's a reminder.
Yeah.
But those should be like regular, is what you're saying. Is...
100%, 100%. Like there are so many people I think that would benefit.
Yeah.
Right. Like sometimes you get so busy and all kinds of crap. Like when I left the car business, right? Mentally, I was not in a good place. I was working a crazy amount of hours, this amount of stress and all that stuff. But if once a year, once every 6 months, someone had just been, hey, just like, sorry, you have to go get your physical done.
Yeah.
You also need to go, do a mental health checkup.
Yeah.
Right. Make sure that everything's going well. You're doing fine, because I feel like now that I'm actually doing therapy, right, it's one of those things where it's much different than I feared or that I thought it was going to be,
mm-hmm.
right? It was kind of eye-opening and a bit of a relief. Number one, like they're very much like, hey, you might not work with this therapist, mm-hmm. right? Like it's not a catch-all kind of thing where, one person fits every kind
right.
of
personality
situation,
almost,
or personality, right? Like it's, hey, we need to find you the right person,
mm-hmm.
And it's just so much different. I've seen it in movies, analyze this, analyze that, those kinds of movies where you lay down on the couch and you spill your guts to some guy who's
I just want to say I've never gotten to lay down on a couch and I'm kind of mad about it because it looks comfortable as hell.
Right?
I always had to sit up.
Same. No, but it's, but that's just kind of what my expectation was,
Yeah.
You lay down on the couch, you spill your guts, this person who's barely invested in you is like taking notes on a pad, and then at the end recaps everything. Boom, you're done.
Don't you want to just reach over and see what they're writing?
Of course. Who the hell doesn't?
Can I just get that book when you're done?
Can you make a copy of that for me? But like it's now that I'm actually doing it and I see what it's like, it's just like, if that part of it, the ease of it was more widely known, I think so many more people would take that step. Right?
So do you think that the hardest step is actually just going to the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that I've done it, yes, 100%. Yeah. I was terrified. I had seen therapists before. I kind of blew them off, mostly because I was forced to go then. Yeah. But
now it's like you decide yourself.
Yeah. Now it was me making the decision to do it, mm-hmm. and it was even a little bit easier because we did meet over like a Zoom call, mm-hmm. the first couple times, and it was just like, hey,
it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be a little bit better if you came in. It's
mm-hmm.
a better setting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because
COVID messed shit up.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother thing, right? The effect of COVID on mm-hmm. mental health, like people who already felt isolated and alone mm-hmm. before COVID. Can you imagine what it did for them during COVID?
Oh, so I work in the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
I work as a scheduler, but I still hear the stories that go around. And especially during COVID, we were so scarce in therapists. Like, there's still not enough. Like, I remember, Andy was trying to find one, and he got one on the East Coast, and we had to wait at a certain time because of the time difference. But it was just so weird. They didn't have enough here in locally to even talk to, so we had to be like waitlisted. Mm-hmm. But it's just a strange thing because I feel like that's mostly needed in society today is to have the more available therapists, but that's not there. So I think also the scarcity of having a therapist is also what turns people away, because they're not like a doctor's appointment. I can't just go online and be like, hey, I want to come next week or 2 weeks. It's like a month, 3 months. And then by the time that 3 months comes, you're like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah.
But in reality, it usually comes back around.
Or you just buried it because you didn't know how to deal with it.
And you're like, oh, crap, I don't want to wait this long every single time. I need help now.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's also another factor, is when people don't get help is because they probably get pushed to do it their first time. And then the first time is so hard because they have to have Andy had to go through hoops. It was like, this therapist canceled. This therapist said she wasn't the right fit for him because of, some things he wanted to talk about. Some therapists only specialize in anxiety and depression. So it's a handful of things. So I think that I think the medical field does need to improve on having more therapists for people, because then I feel like maybe if there wasn't such a long wait to get in, that maybe they'd be like, okay, I'll go next week. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's, and like you touched on, I do think, my God, the amount of things that in our society would improve if people actually had better access to mental health tools like therapy, right? Just things like that, like school shootings.
I was thinking the same thing.
My God, if these kids, even if it prevented one of them, that would be a major benefit to the world, to the United States. Like, if just one of those shootings could have been avoided because a kid got the help that he needed, right? It's or just day-to-day violence, anger, right? Like, it's all that kind of stuff. The things that we aren't taught how to deal with growing up, such as, anger. That's probably the biggest one, at least for me. Anger's a kind of a big issue of mine, right? Like, just having the tools to kind of sit there, think about my anger, organize my thoughts. That's what therapy gives me, right? It's not trying to fix my feelings, right? No. It's about giving me the tools to manage my feelings.
Well, because your feelings, they're valid, But the thing is like, we have two parts to our mind, right? We have the rational side, which is the side we want to think with, but we have that emotional side, that the emotional side most likely takes over because you have all those feelings running through, especially if you're angry, you have adrenaline, your blood feels like it's boiling. And if you make a decision in that state, it's going to be a crappy one, right? Yeah. So when I was doing classes, because I've been to years of therapy and stuff like that, I've learned a lot. I've read books, I've do meditation, but I've picked up tools along the way to the point where I don't need therapy anymore because I've learned so much. But I've learned, if if you're in a situation and something's making you mad or sad, or you're frustrated, just take a step back and try to think with your rational mind. In reality, is what would what would be best for this situation, instead of being like, I'm so angry, I hate this person, I'm gonna go on Facebook and rant. So I think that, going back to what you were saying about schools, whenever there was a school shooting, I'd be like, oh God, I just wish there was more access, or more of a class where they focused on mental health, because these kids go home and you don't know what toxic environments are going through their homes. So I think that... And
we don't have Mr. Rogers anymore to help with that.
Right. We have Miss Rachel, though.
Oh, really?
Do you know who that is?
No.
Just wait. No. Wait till your sister has the baby.
Okay. Yeah, no. But I'm kind of looking back, the fact that our parents had Mr. Rogers, I'm a little bit jealous about it. Because I'm like, dang, I could just imagine if I came home every day and saw that guy on TV.
Yeah.
I would have probably felt so much better. But, okay, so... is it fair to say that, because again, a lot of people do look down on those of us that do see therapists and work on our mental health. Is it fair to say that most people who look down on those people are just people who've never had to deal with those kinds of issues directly?
I think that it's not that they haven't dealt with it. I think that they probably just don't come forward and they think that, oh, I just need, I'm strong. I have a, my skin is thick. I don't need to go to therapy. I think people that have really strong opinions are probably a little bit more old school thinking as far as like, I don't even talk about it. So whoever does go to therapy, they're like, oh, that's for girls, or, that's weak. That's this or that. But I don't necessarily think that they haven't gone through that, because I think everybody goes through points in their life where they're down or they just don't feel like themselves or anything like that. So
yeah, but but if you ask those people would say it doesn't affect them, right? Like, oh, when I was growing up, you just toughen up, right? It's mental health.
Yeah.
Oh, what a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like to them, it's not real, right? But that also brings up the subject, why are we told that people can't have opinions on thoughts or issues that don't directly affect them or us? Do you get what I'm saying?
Kind of. Give an example.
So, for instance, with abortion rights, you'll see. I know it's a hot topic, right? But again, we're not talking about abortion itself, just having an opinion on it, right?
Okay.
My vagina, my body, that kind of thing. Like, women in that situation, as men, we've seen where they say, like, hey, you're not a woman, you shouldn't have, or your opinion isn't valid on the subject, or in terms of race, right? You'll see, if you're discussing living conditions in the ghetto, or what, a black guy might say, hey, you're white, you don't know what it's like, right? So that's what I mean. Like, should we consider the opinions of people who aren't directly affected by the issue they're discussing?
I think that, especially in situations where it's like your husband or your partner, your friends, I always consider their opinions. Whether I agree with them or not, I listen to them. I take them into consideration, because sometimes you think about it and you're like, yeah, they're right. But as like, if you're talking about a bigger population, like a bigger, like our society, opinions, I feel like people do get offended really quickly now. Not to say that some opinions shouldn't be said, because they're really like nasty, but I think that if the opinion has, some scientific, research and background in it, and it's factual, and they're just stating their opinion because they think that's best, I don't think there's a problem with it. I would take it into consideration, because that's how we learn, right? That's how we learn as a society, is actually listening to other people. But I think that some people are closed-minded, that they don't want to hear other opinions because they think only theirs is correct. I think it does matter on the subject, like abortion is a little bit touchy. So, I mean, I think that in that situation, when women say my vagina, or my vagina, my rights, my, decision, I think women are mostly saying that towards like politicians, not so much like their partner. But some women that get pregnant aren't always pregnant by something they like their partner, or they choose to be pregnant. So there's all these different situations, but as far as like opinions, I think it's just also situational.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made my stance on abortion pretty clear, a couple episodes ago, but again, I do recognize that it is very difficult at times to listen to the thoughts of someone who hasn't had the same experience, right? It's, if I was talking to someone about traveling the world, right, as someone who's been to tons of countries and talked to a lot of people, and if I find out they've never left California, right, it kind of diminishes their opinion in my mind. But it's one of those things I can't really say why, right? Like, of course I should listen to their opinion and their thoughts.
Well, they don't have the experience, that's why.
Yeah, but we have empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Empathy is one of the most powerful tools that humans have to connect to each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? It allows us to put each other put ourselves in other people's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Empathy alone is more than enough to validate someone's opinion, even if they have a different experience than us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the two biggest examples I can think of are gender and race,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's I don't know what it's like for my ancestors to be slaves,
Mm-hmm.
but I can tell you that I know how it would feel if I found out tomorrow morning that my dad and my brother and my sister were all of a sudden put in chains and forced to work in fields.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you how that would make me feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and it's horrific,
Mm-hmm.
right? I feel like you would have to be a psychopath to not feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing with gender, yeah, we men kind of joke, oh, women don't know what it's like to get kicked in the balls,
Mm-hmm.
right? And women say, oh, well, you'll never know what it's like to give birth.
Yeah.
It's incredibly intense pain coming from between your legs. I think we can all understand that that's not a good thing, right? It's pretty horrible. But yeah, it's again, I think that it's probably the easiest way that we have found to invalidate the differing opinions of people. If it's kind of like an end to the argument, like, hey, your opinion does not matter
Yeah.
because you are not the same as me,
Right.
right? And it's I think it's a horrible way to do things.
So you're saying that I think maybe it's an American thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
But do you think that we should just be more willing to hear other people's opinions on things that don't necessarily impact them? Is that what you're saying? You feel like that we should be less, maybe we need to be more open-minded to the fact that people have opinions and that we should listen to them?
Yeah, I think that opinions and thoughts in general are really important. It reminds me of a quote that one of my friends actually used to quote all the time, and it's that I might not agree with your opinion, and I'm butchering the quote, by the way. I might not agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight to the death to defend your right to say it.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Like you need to have the bad opinions out there too.
Yeah.
It's having the bad opinions is what helps you recognize the good opinions,
Mm-hmm.
or the good thoughts, or the good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have enough of that together, it's what helps you recognize the great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's you can't just try to censor anything that you might not want to hear.
Right.
Because that's not how you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We grow through diversity, through hardship.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you never have to defend the way that you feel, can you ever say that you actually felt that way?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like having to defend yourself makes it so that you keep learning about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you just take it at face value and never allow any wiggle room for any changes or updates, I guess, then again, was that opinion ever really yours, or did you just adopt someone else's?
Yeah.
Well,
think about it. When we vote, it's basically our opinion, right? Opinion on the politician. So without anybody's opinion, where would we go? Some people like to stay quiet. I'm kind of guilty of kind of just staying back in a crowd or whatever, staying quiet. But I think opinions that are, good-hearted opinions go a long way. Not just nasty ones people are just trying to tell you just to make you feel bad, but ones that actually matter, or one, I shouldn't say matter because how do you measure that, but ones that actually have your thought behind them should be considered, especially your circle of friends, your family members, your partners. Definitely opinions do matter.
Oh no, I mean, I agree. And to kind of take your point a little farther, if someone does have a mean thought about you, right? Just because it's mean doesn't mean it shouldn't be listened to or thought about. If I can ask you, well, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel the way, why do you feel that Jamie is is a hypocritical, you know,
cotton-headed ninny muggins.
There you go. Cotton-headed ninny muggins. Why do you feel that way? If you can sit there and tell me how you feel that way, how you came to this idea, right? Even though I might disagree with the idea overall, and if I can tell that you put thought into it, right? That helps me, number one, start to try to change your mind, right? Because it lets me know that you're open to thinking about it.
Oh, that's my favorite thing to do is change people's minds.
Everyone loves that. Oh my God, if you can change someone's mind, it's amazing, right? It's probably it's better than sex. It's better than an orgasm.
Oh my God, no comment.
It totally, when you get that moment, when you really get someone thinking about something, right, that they felt super, like, very strongly about. It's happened a couple times, like, with religion. You know, I think everyone that knows me knows that I don't believe in God. And
yeah. I've heard it from you for years.
Yes. And there have been a few people, you know, especially the kind of people who try to just ram it down my throat, you know, like, you're going to believe in God whether you like it or not, you know. And those moments when I get them to think, right? And they're just like, wow, I never thought of it like that. Those moments are like little bits of...
Oh, yes, I was right.
not even that I was right. It's just like it makes me salivate, you know, like, just, oh my goodness. Oh yeah.
It's so weird.
It's amazing. I love it. Just to, again, because when you get someone to think, it's a powerful thing.
It is.
You know, it's
like they're not on autopilot anymore.
Yes. They're listening to you. I think that's what it is. I think, like, you're really being listened to.
Yeah.
You know, with an open mind, an open heart, someone who's just like, I never thought of it like that. I'm going to go back and think now.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing to feel.
Yeah. And where would we be with nobody's opinions or thoughts or, you know, and I think that it's so important to be able to share what you're thinking about certain topics. So, I respect people's opinions and all, you know. I don't think if in school we're taught not to care what people think or anything like that, but as adults, hopefully we're sharing with people our actual feelings and thoughts about things in a truthful way.
Yeah, I think the reason that form of arguing or debating has become a acceptable form is partly because we've gotten just a little bit less forgiving, right? We're not as willing to listen to a different opinion nowadays. Not that humans were ever fantastic at it, but I think that you know, we're told in media and all this kind of crap that, hey, if you have a different opinion, you're the bad guy, right? Unless you agree with everything that we say, you're not one of us, right? You're not included in our side of the discussion. And it's a horrible way to kind of view the world, that you're either with us or against us. But I think it is the most widely accepted form of censorship, and a big part of me actually blames it on social media. You know, like, what do you think? Like, does the rise of social media, do you think it's helped with being more open to opinions, or it's made it worse?
Oh man, I think everybody on social media has an opinion. Just too many opinions at this point. But social media in general is just its own, has its own problems.
It's, my God, it's kind of like a different universe, social media. It's wild.
You can check out and just check in there.
Yeah. And you can just live vicariously through everyone else.
Yep.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's actually fairly difficult for me to think of any real benefits that come from social media. Can you think of anything?
According to Andy, TikTok. anything he knows in life is from TikTok. So at this point, he goes, oh, you know what we should do for the baby? This, that. And I was like, oh, where'd you learn that? And he goes, guess. And I go, TikTok. I think that there are benefits. I think that if you use it wisely or even just a little bit, there's benefits. But because we like to watch a lot of like learning things or baby things that we didn't know how to clear a stuffy nose naturally or anything like that. I think that Andy especially is kind of like addicted to learning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop talking about TikTok.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, TikTok will always make me think of that song from Kesha.
Oh gosh,
TikTok on the clock. Like and with my brother with his foot out the window, and I know you didn't see that, but we had an adventure in Reno with that song playing in the background. Oh my God.
Of course you two would be singing that.
Oh, no, I wasn't singing.
Oh.
I was just observing, but now it's an image that's stuck in my head for all time.
Yeah.
Right? Him in his flip-flops driving down the road with his foot out the window.
In his shorts.
I call them booty shorts, but they're like those, they're shorts that the guys in Europe wear, it's just, they kind of just ride high up on the thigh.
And Bobby is a massive creature.
Yes.
Not fat, but he is hugely tall and, well, to me, because I'm short, but, and like buffish. So it's funny to see him.
Yeah, he's a buff.
Sorry, Bobby.
But here's the thing, you know what though? What I love about it is he's never afraid to just be himself.
Yeah.
Right, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's he has no problem getting all goofy in his little shorts and his flip flops.
Oh, man.
And his trucker hat.
Boy, do I know! I lived with him for a little bit. But anyways, back to social media.
Yeah.
I do think that it has its benefits, but I think that we spend so much time just like mindlessly scrolling, right?
Ooh,
mindlessly. So you're just checked out because you hear things I hear things on the radio like how many hours we spend on our phone a day, and I'm like 6 hours. I don't think I spend 6 hours. Well, now that I have a baby, especially not 6 hours, I'm lucky if I get 10 minutes before I go to bed now of, some sort of, because it is a release sometimes. Sometimes you just need to see funny things or people like you going through certain things. So in that aspect, I think it is good. But I mean, what do you think?
But I love that differentiator that you put on there, whether it's mindful or mindless. Mm-hmm. That's pretty brilliant, because I do think if I'm trying, no, I'm not saying that you're not brilliant, but of course, but no, that it is because when I do find the benefits, it's when I'm trying to learn something, when I'm trying to remember something, that kind of stuff. And it does take thought. And where I feel like it is a waste of time, like drivel, is when it's completely mindless. Mm-hmm. That I had never thought about that before. That's pretty awesome. Like, to me, I only see like pure detriment to social media. Mm-hmm. It's made everyone or a lot of people very narcissistic. Mm-hmm. You care about clicks more than any kind of quality. It's I feel like it really is horrible for society. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you this, especially being a mom. Mm-hmm. And by the way, your phones are always listening, right? You have these smartphones, and then you're like talking about, oh, I'm going to go, buy some skis this weekend. And all of a sudden you see like people skiing on TikTok or.
Yeah, but I'm actually okay with that. I'm fine with the CIA listening. It makes me feel protected. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
I'm just like, gosh dang it, phone. Why are you always listening? Like sometimes I don't even want it to listen because I was like, I don't want to see this tonight on TikTok. Yeah. It's like a constant joke with me and Andy. But as a mom, you see these perfect lives, these clean houses, these perfect meals for your husband and your kids, and you especially if you watch it, they give you more of it, right? On TikTok. Yeah. So you just constantly like, oh man, I wish I could do that. Dang, their house is so clean. But in the background, they have everything shoved, right? Yeah. So you can't see it. But it's like, it does make you feel like you need to keep up with society. You need to keep up with those moms. Oh, and they're in shape. Oh. So now I got to be in shape. I have to have a clean house. I got to make food for my husband and my daughter every day that are in heart-shaped you know, sandwiches and whatever. But that's not
Make
reality.
sure the dogs are fed. Like,
Yeah.
just perfection.
Right.
It demands perfection at all times.
It does. And I think also relationships. Relationships are, I feel like it's not adding anything to relationships because you want these perfect people now. Oh, she's in shape. She's just like these juicy lips and this. I mean, there's beautiful people, but no one's that perfect. You know, I mean, maybe.
No, I agree, especially in that sense. I have a very small social media presence. Like, it's pretty much Instagram. I hardly ever post, right? And I only made it because my last job thought that I should, you know, have an Instagram, whatever. You know, but 95% of the time is just to look at clips and videos, right? Like
of what you should
of naked girls shaking their ass above, you know, all else. Oh my God.
I knew it.
No, but really, like it's I think like half the videos I watch are of like dogs. Like people playing with their dogs, and then the other half is just
welcome home videos from like vets.
I did go through a phase with that.
That gets Andy my God. Every time.
I did go through it. It actually made me want to join the military.
I gotcha.
Like, just to have that feeling of getting home and everyone, you know, being around and like, oh my God.
And like your golden retriever has a tear in its eye.
I don't even have a golden retriever, but yes,
want
I want a golden retriever just so it can welcome me home. That's all I want it for.
You know what? I will dress you up and I'll welcome you home, Dushin.
No, but it's a powerful emotion for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I don't do a lot of posting or you know anything like that. And I don't even like.
No kidding. I went through my list of friends. I was like, who's Dushan? I was like, oh, that's Dushan.
But no, like the last girl I dated, you know, she had a fairly big social media presence, and it was, you know, kind of skimpy looking, and I didn't really appreciate it, right? Like it was, I didn't say, hey, you should stop, but it was kind of, it became a point of contention because it was like, I don't want to be involved in that. Like, yeah. I don't want to see you showing your ass in a thong, right, to the world or anything like that. Like I that's not something that I need to be looking at. I don't need to be seeing the comments from 1,000, you know, desperate, horny guys saying what they would do to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so in that way, I do agree. I think it is a massive detriment for relationships. It builds up unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just, I think people have gotten to the point where they can't separate
reality.
Reality from their social media. You know, like it's again, everything has to be this perfect thing all the time. Like I would lose my shit if I sat down to eat on a date with a girl and she's like, hold on, don't eat. I need to take some pictures. And she started setting up fucking lights and you know, oh, I need to get the perfect shot. I'd be like, bitch, if my food gets cold, you're paying for this fucking meal. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like, that kind of stuff drives me up the wall.
Yeah, for sure. But also scrolling if you're at dinner or anything like that. Me and Andy, I'm like, no being on your phone. I want to talk to you. But it's like, I could just imagine, especially even younger people, they are always on their phone. And I'm like, how are you guys together in the same house or apartment or whatever? You're always on social media, but I know of people that are constantly comparing their life to TikTok life. It's not real, you know? You're not going to have this perfect life where your husband is pampering you 24/7 because that's not how it happens, you know? It's partnership and everything like that, but when you're constantly comparing to perfectionism, that's not benefiting anybody.
I agree. And you brought up the point of scrolling through your phone, you know, that even when I'm just with friends, if we're sitting there, you know, hanging out and you're scrolling through your phone, I get bothered. I get upset. Most of the time I won't say anything, but it's because again, we both made a conscious decision to spend time together. Mm-hmm. We should be spending time together, not just time in the same vicinity. Mm-hmm. right? Like yeah.
And then they tag you.
Oh my God. Oh, that drives me crazy.
They tag you because they want you to watch something.
Yes. Oh,
like, bro, I'm
sitting right here. Like, just hand me your phone and I'll look at it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And I get like a million. I don't even go on, like I said, I have a 10-month-old, so I'm busy with her all day. But I swear, I get tagged in so many TikToks, Instagram, and I these are from my closest friends, but I'm like, I'm consumed. At the end of the day, I can't keep up. I can't comment on all these.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
But, social media does have a hold on us, I think. And I do think there's benefits, but as far as like actually looking to it for comparison is not not good. Like, find someone that you can actually talk to, that you can get advice about, marriage, dating, kids.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do follow moms that I don't know, and it is helpful. So it's just depending on how you actually use social media.
Yeah. Again, going back to your point where, if you do it mindfully or mindlessly, that's what makes a difference on whether it's a benefit or detriment. Like, I genuinely think that social media is one of the worst things for kids.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's absolutely horrible for children. I feel like you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and unfortunately, there's predators out there.
Oh, God, I don't even want to think about that.
I know. It's just, yeah, I hear stories and it just terrifies me. Like, I only have one daughter and she's young, but I'm already thinking about those things. Like, when am I going to allow her to have, like, I don't even know if it's going to be still around, or Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But it's like, when what age, or, because all kids use tablets and stuff, so they have possible access to social media. So that social media is a scary place too. So it's like, it's good place, it's a bad place, it's a place in the middle where you can decompress, but it's like, yeah, it's just you're right. I think on kids it is bad.
I think it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like it has to be like, these are, well, because they're still developing minds. They still don't have a full understanding on how the world works, that there is a difference between social media and reality, or what you see on TV and reality, how the real world works. So they grow up seeing this kind of stuff and
thinking that's how they're supposed to be.
Exactly. And it drives me up the wall. Like, there's schools and teachers who set up social media for their kids.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the class Discord.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, these are easily influenced little people, right? Like, that don't have the ability to form their own opinions yet. They're going to attach to whatever anyone else says.
The population is
exactly, right? Like, it's I think, and again, I haven't done any proper research on it, but it's just got to be one of the worst things possible for a developing mind, right?
So let me ask your opinion on something. When do you think that, I mean, just because you don't have kids, I still want to hear your opinion. When do you think is a proper age to let them have social media?
So, I know it's a little hypocritical. I know that us growing up, we had MySpace, right?
Oh, I had the best MySpace.
Right? We had it from junior high, high school. Even before that, you had, there was Friendster, and then we had like the AOL chat rooms. So we have had social media in one form or another throughout our entire lives, right? But I do think that it's gotten to the point, because of how prevalent it is in society, I would comfortably say not till you're 18.
Yeah?
Yeah. Really. It's I think it can be just as bad for you as alcohol or cigarettes.
Yeah, it's addicting for sure.
Exactly. Like, it's super addicting. I mean, if you do it before then, I feel like it should be highly monitored. I think there should be a system in place where literally the parents have to approve every post before it gets posted.
Yeah.
Right? It's I mean, if you just look at like bullying and again, school shootings, explicit material. Oh my God.
Yeah.
These poor girls getting their pictures, naked pictures shared all over the place.
And it stays with them for life.
For life. There's no escaping it. Like, again, MySpace is gone.
Yeah.
It's all the crap that we posted back then, right? We had to edit our own pages and do all this stuff. That we're never going to hear about it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening with Facebook. Yeah. That's not happening with Instagram or TikTok.
I know, they're lasting a long time.
Forever. These companies are building entire server farms.
Yeah.
Like the size of small towns.
Yeah.
To store all this data permanently.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Our generation was the last generation where if you said something publicly, that was the end of it.
Right.
Like, now we're at the point, it will be out there forever. Every picture you post, picture you send, whether it's text, like even if you didn't mean to put it on social media.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you did it out of anger.
Yes.
Or
almost every word you say, unless it's like person to person in a room, is out there forever. There's no escaping it. And that's pretty horrifying because I know that myself as a young adult, teenager, kid, I said some pretty horrific shit. I still think now to this day about a comment that I made to one of my friends. His name was Zach. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I thought it would be funny to say the N word with the hard R.
Oh, douching.
Exactly. But I was like 10, 11, 12.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I can just imagine what that would be like today.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a kid today, my life would be over. Right?
Yeah.
And I got what I deserved at that moment. Millen, my brother, he punched me in the stomach and what the fuck is the matter with you?
Yeah.
And, you know, because to me, I didn't mean it in a harmful way, but it was just...
You didn't know
the context, or, you know, I knew the history behind it, but it was just, it's kind of like, oh, don't push the red button.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that in my mind, right? Like, oh, you can't say this word. Oh, you can't say this word. And so this one kid was like, I don't care if you say the word. Mm. And so I said it, and then I said it, and I said it, and I said it. And it was super wrong of me to do, but again, I didn't understand really the implications of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Just like kids don't understand now the implications of the things that they put out there, but now it comes along with the fact that it will be out there always.
It's like cemented.
Yes.
Yeah. Again,
like how many people have we seen in the last couple of years fired for a tweet from 15 years ago?
I know, that's crazy.
Right? It happens all the time. Yeah. Like imagine if you're a 13-year-old. An angry 13-year-old, a horny 13-year-old.
Oh God!
Right? Like it's kind of horrific to think about. Like and like a whole nother thing. What will social media be like in the next 5, 10, 15 years? We have AI and virtual reality and
oh God, that's
right?
That's a whole other. AI is like a whole other topic now. I mean, it's just. You could go online and be like, oh, she's so pretty. She's in Italy. No, she's not in Italy.
Right?
Her face.
She's in front of a green screen.
but it looks so real now. And I can't get over it.
Yes.
I'm just like, oh man, no way. People don't even look real anymore. Or you don't even have to go places to post.
I mean, that started with Photoshop, but never to like this level. Now you can just hit a filter button on your phone and it's like, take away all the bad things. In this picture.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Right.
Right? But it's, God, in 5 years, 10 years, oh my God. I feel like you're going to be able to walk through virtual spaces with your friends and literally just do anything. You could, you know, you'll be able to drink through your VR and it's going to somehow tell your brain that you're drunk. Sex, education, like I think all of that is going to be integrated with social media. Mm-hmm. And I'm terrified. Oh my God.
I don't even want to be here.
Like, my dad hates using the TV remote.
Oh no.
Can you imagine in 10 years when social media is that advanced? I'm going to be like, oh my God, I'm 45 and I'm disconnected from the world. I feel like such an old man. Like,
I'm sorry, but 45-year-olds don't talk like that. They're not 80.
No, I said that, but that's how I'm going to feel inside. Because I'm going to be so disconnected.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't really follow a lot of that stuff now. So I can just imagine in 10 years from now. But, hey, we've reached the end of the podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
I thought that was amazing. It went so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the special guest today. It was It was incredible, and we got to have you back on,
Yeah.
especially with Bobby and Andy when they come back. But I hope you had a good time.
I did. Can I say one thing?
Of course.
I did want to say that if to go back to therapy, reach out to family and friends, doctors, look for apps or anything like
Yes.
that. It's really important. So, and I believe in it wholeheartedly.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Go 49ers.
Woo!
Yes. And please share and follow, and we'll really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.